Hey, what's up, world? Hey, first off, again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get all notifications when I put out a video. And hopefully, I will bring content that'll be worthy of you viewing. But today, we want to talk about it's the 1 year anniversary of the George Floyd killing. It's a big thing in the news now. And also, it's the 100-year anniversary of the quote-unquote Tulsa riots, race riots, Tulsa Massacre, however you want to put it. And they did a documentary on, I believe, CNN. It's about to put out a documentary about it. And, you know, all they talk about the riots. And if you don't know about what happened is, you know, a little town or a little part of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the majority of the black people stayed. You know, it's back in, very segregated back then. And, you know, black folks had to stay around black people. And so what they do, they had to spend money with each other. So what they do, they go out there and work for the white folk or work for themselves or what have you, but the money stayed in the community, and it caused the community to grow and prosper. And then who knows, some story got out that some brother either whistled or looked at or breathed on or something, a white girl, imaginary white girl, not sure what it was, and all hell broke loose. And, you know, black folks tried to defend themselves, so white folks like, I don't know, God, how dare you try to defend yourselves, how dare you try to defend somebody who thought about a white woman. And like I say, they went and just destroyed the whole town, whole little part of Greenwood, Arch and Pine. Shout out to the Gap Band. Destroyed the whole neighborhood. Went in there with guns and dropping bombs up the sky. And, you know, pretty much as the story goes, as you would see if you watching the TV, watch it the whole doggone area. It's funny how 100 years later, they're having survivors testify about the experience. And I'm thinking, like, if it's 100 years ago, how can they even remember what happened? Now, I don't belittle traumatic events of any age, because little kids have traumatic events that affect them when they're grown. They don't even have time to remember why they act the way they do. But, 99% of the time, what you do and how you act and the person that you are comes from your growing up, not something that happened to you as an adult. But yeah, 100 years later, you having these hearings about something that no one really remembers, and actually, you could say that you had a traumatic experience, but then the people can counter motion saying that, well, your life you could have been through a whole lot of traumatic experiences. So it kind of, belittles the idea of reparations and stuff. I think it's all a farce and all of a joke just to put it out there, just to make us think that people really care about what happened when you had 100 years to take care of it. And you can't say you couldn't take care of it, because, you've given, other races reparations and money in this country and outside the country. Like, real quick, you just passed the Asian hate law, real quick. Part of your $1.9 trillion plan, and you put that in there. So now they got money, which I'm not belittling any hatred and violence towards anybody, but I'm just saying, how could you pass this law so quick? But lynching laws have yet to be passed, and they've been brought before Congress over 100 times. The police reform law, which was based on, I believe, the George Floyd case, still hasn't been passed. But yet you get like 6 to 8 Asians getting shot in nail salons by a white guy, and then all these random people beating up Asians because of this what is this outburst pandemic we just had. Sometimes that stuff looks suspect, but yet, and all of a sudden you pass that with flying colors, and they wonder why we think the way we do. But anywho, like I said, 100 years ago, this tragic event happened, and it wasn't the only place. There's a lot of places that you can look at. Little River County, 1919, I believe, or 1899. I gotta look it up, but same thing, you know. Even in Texas, you know, there was like a lot of fires going on in buildings. They blamed the black people, blamed the slaves. They started lynching, you know, black people and slaves, and it wasn't their fault anyway. But you gotta blame the boogeyman, right? So back to my point, yeah. So it destroyed the town, and the people, you know, tried to get, you know, file insurance claims. The majority of them, you know, they didn't get paid. You know, they denied. Majority of them were denied, as you can probably guess. But news flash that Black Wall Street, or Black Main Street as it was called back then, rebuilt. And it rebuilt better than it was before. And it was rebuilt by the people. Very little help from the government. Very little help from outsiders. You had a few, but very little help. They had to be resilient and help themselves and build back the town. So, you know what ultimately destroyed the Greenwood District was integration and you know, joint economics. They allow, see, people with money and people who like study, you know, do research. They know how to play this game. So they see that, yeah, we can bomb you, destroy you, wipe out a town, but you black people, you know how to come back and rebuild. So how can you destroy a person and they not even realize it? When you deal with finances, you deal with money, you see that, okay, this little area is thriving because of segregation, which is what we want. We want black people to be over there, but we want their money over here. So what we do is we'll allow them to come and shop in our areas, spend money in our areas. We'll allow them to believe that our ice is colder. And that's what ultimately brought down the Greenwood District in Oklahoma. And if you go to Oklahoma right now on the north side, you know, it's like any other hood in the country. You wouldn't even know that that was an area where doctors, lawyers, you know, hotel owners, people who had airplanes, you know, luxury cars, tailors, you wouldn't believe that's where they live. And that's where we thrive. But it was. But like I said, the ultimate downfall was not the riot. So I don't want people to get caught up in the violent part of what happened, because that's what they'll do. They'll show you the violence. Really, to me, I believe it's a scare tactic to make you think, oh, once we try to build something, they're just going to destroy it. Yeah, they can try, but anybody try to destroy it. They might try to destroy you on a smaller level. So, you know, you can have your little small business and the guy across the street, you know, down the street, the same type of business, yeah, he gonna try to put you out of business. That's just what people do. You know, that's what people, but you gotta know how to be resilient and, you know, fight back, you know what I'm saying, keep your business. Don't let nobody else destroy you. That's just pretty much the North Star. But what I feel you need to do, what I suggest you do, is get these two books. One's called, this is backwards, but Black Wall Street, From Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's Historic Greenwood District. This is by Hannibal B. Johnson. And this one here is called Acres of Aspiration. Like I said, it's probably backwards. The All Black Towns in Oklahoma. This is also written by Hannibal B. Johnson. Get these two books. I'll leave a link in the description. If you want to know anything you need to know about Tulsa, you want to know anything about these small towns, all these black towns in Oklahoma, because that's where a lot of black people were sent to thrive. They was asked to come there. Great story, great story. Matter of fact, was a Langston University, story about Langston University. It shows you how they wanted to build a college for, you know, the Aboriginal people in Oklahoma, and they had to raise a certain amount of money. When the government say people say, bring some of my money, we'll help you build it. So they went and had not food drive, they went and had like bake sales and fundraisers, and these cats actually raised the money that they needed within a year to build this school. So it's not like our community cannot be built. It's not like it can't happen. It can happen, and it has happened. Hell, it had to happen. It had to happen. And that's what the powers that be know. If they put you off in the corner by yourself, eventually you're going to figure out how to come out that corner bigger and better than what they left it. And that's not what they want, because they're afraid you're going to take from them. But it can be done. It has, like I said, it has always been done. You have to remember the story of Moses. I'm going to end on this. One thing people fail to realize about the story of Moses and the Exodus and going to the promised land is Moses went, got the people out, led them to freedom, led them to the promised land, but he never saw it. He never was able to experience the fruits of his labor, but he got his people there. And that's how you got to think about any kind of venture that you have, especially when you're trying to build our community the way you know it needs to be. And along the way, some people had to be dropped off because they didn't want to leave the old Egyptian ways behind. You know, you had Hebrew Israelite ways and Egyptian ways, and they didn't want to leave the Egyptian ways behind, so he had to let some of them go. You know, like it or not, that's the way. That's how it goes. But again, he never saw the fruits of his labor with all the work he did, but he know that his kids and his grandkids and generations beyond were going to benefit from it. And that's how we got to look at it. We got to put this work in, get our community built up, stop letting the powers that be control the narrative, stop letting them show Brother Floyd being murdered on TV all the time. That psychologically is not right. That psychologically messes you up. Do not allow them to keep talking about the racial riots. You know what's funny? I'm gonna say 30 years ago, I first heard about Tulsa and the race riots. 30 years ago, it was the Pan-African bookstore in Dallas, off of was it Loop 12? Used to be a post office right next to it. It's like people who lived in the Grove, you know what I'm talking about. And it's a little Pan-African bookstore, and the guy showed us a video, a little movie or what have you, about the Tulsa riot. This was 30 years ago in a little small Pan-African bookstore. So that lets you know this information has been out forever, but they choose not to bring it up until they're ready to bring it up. They choose to control your history the way they want to control your history. But it's time for us to take over our own narratives. So with that being said, like I said, thank you for watching. Like I said, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell when you subscribe. Comment, tell me if you liked the video, if you learned anything, if you know anything, put it in the comment section. And until next time, peace.